County 911. Where is your husband?
Somebody else is on the phone.
Hello? Hello?
This emergency call comes in at the emergency call center in Wisconsin shortly after 1 a.m. on October 15th, 2018. Whoever is calling is scared to death. The person doesn't even manage to give a name or address or say what exactly happened. But the person doesn't have to say anything. The screams at the end of the line tell enough. The police can trace the call and find the house from which it was made. But the police arrive too late. 2 people are dead and a girl is missing. Denise and James Kloss are a happy couple. They live in a small town called Barron in the U.S. state of Wisconsin. With only about 3,000 inhabitants, the place is rather sleepy. There is not much to see there, but a quiet town like this might be the perfect place to raise children. This is exactly what Denise and James Kloss dream of. And in 2005, their dream comes true when their daughter Jayme is born. The family is almost inseparable. In particular, mother Denise and daughter Jayme have a close relationship. The older Jayme gets, the more she resembles her mother Denise. The two are, as the family's friends say, 2 peas in a pod. The family's daily life is calm and relaxed. The parents both work for a company called Jenny O. Jayme goes to school, and in the afternoons and on weekends, the 3 of them spend a lot of time together as a family, along with their dog Molly. Jayme loves playing volleyball, dancing, and ice skating. It's the perfect American small-town idol. What the Kloss family doesn't notice is the person who has been shadowing the 3 of them since fall 2018, and has been doing so for days. As early as the beginning of October, a man drives to the Kloss house for a very specific reason. He was after Jayme, the 13-year-old daughter of the house. A month earlier, the man had seen Jayme on a bus and followed her home. Since then, he had not been able to get the girl out of his mind. That's why he was now going to the family's house. He just sat there and watched her. 2 days later, he did exactly the same thing again. On his 3rd visit, he didn't just watch. This time, he had a weapon with him. On October 15th, 2018, shortly after 1 a.m., in the middle of the night, someone gains access to the Kloss family home. It is the man who has already followed the family twice before. Neither the parents Denise and James nor daughter Jayme know him. He is wearing black clothes and a dark ski mask. It is not entirely clear what exactly happens in the Kloss house in the next few minutes. But what is clear is that the man has a gun and is not afraid to use it. Jayme and her mother Denise hide in the bathroom together. They can hear shooting downstairs and realize that their father and husband James has suddenly gone quiet. An emergency call is then made using Denise's cell phone. You heard it at the beginning of the video. Unfortunately, it was not possible for the emergency call center to understand anything. But at least the call can be localized, and several police officers make their way to the Kloss family home. At the inconspicuous house of the family of 3, the police are presented with a picture of horror. Father James Kloss lies dead in the house entrance. Denise is also dead. Both were shot. Daughter Jayme Kloss is missing. The murderer of Denise and James has kidnapped the 13-year-old daughter of the house. the man who murdered James's parents and kidnapped their daughter is called Jake Patterson. He's only 21 years old himself. He lives in the small town of Gordon in Wisconsin, about an hour's drive from the Kloss family home. There, he lives alone in a small cabin, and he now takes Jayme with him. While the police in the small town have to solve the double murder of the Kloss couple and take the teenager Jayme with them, Jake has a precise plan as the culprit. He wants Jayme to live with him. And Jake himself? He carries on as normal, with the only difference being that he is now holding a girl captive in his home. Every now and then, Jake even has friends or family over. Then he forces Jayme to hide under his bed. He places laundry baskets and trash cans around the bed and fills them with weights, as they are otherwise used for dumbbells. For Jayme, who is wedged under the bed, it is of course very difficult to escape from her improvised prison. And Jake threatens to hurt her terribly if she tries to crawl out from under the bed. Every time Jake has visitors or leaves the house, Jayme has to hide under his bed. Sometimes he leaves her there for up to 12 hours, without food or anything to drink, and without the opportunity to use a toilet. Nobody in Barron suspects that Jayme is only a few kilometers away from her home. A week after Jayme's abduction, a huge search party is formed in her hometown. The local police department has rounded up more than 2,000 volunteers to comb the area for traces of Jayme. Although hundreds of tips are evaluated, the police do not manage to get on Jake Patterson's trail. On October 27th, the Kloss couple is buried together. Their own daughter Jayme cannot attend this funeral. She is still being held captive in her kidnapper's cabin. A few days later, there is another alarm. There is a burglar in the Kloss family home. The police cannot rule out the possibility that the murderer and kidnapper may have returned to the scene of the crime. So they set off immediately. And the burglar is arrested on the spot. He is a 32-year-old man named Kyle Jenke. During a search, the officers find several small items belonging to the Kloss family in his coat pocket. Not expensive technical devices or the like, but underwear from Jayme's room. The police can rule out that he had anything to do with Jayme's kidnapping and the double murder. Kyle later received a suspended sentence for the break-in. Unfortunately, it was just a false alarm. There is still no trace of Jayme. The girl remains missing for almost 3 months. On January 10th, 2019, a woman named Jean Nutter is walking through the small town of Gordon in Wisconsin. Jean is walking her dog Henry and is probably lost in thought. Until suddenly a young girl rushes up to her. The girl looks strange. She's only wearing a thin shirt and leggings and a pair of men's shoes that are much too big. Nevertheless, Jean recognizes the girl immediately. Her face has been all over the news lately. It is 13-year-old Jayme Kloss. Jean takes the girl with her immediately. The two knock on the next-door neighbor's door and are safe there for the time being. Jayme seems distraught, but overall she is relatively calm and, first and foremost, just relieved. Jake Patterson had told Jayme that morning that he would be gone for a longer period of time, for 5 or 6 hours. He wanted to visit his mother. He had barricaded her under the bed again, but because she knew that Jake would be gone for so long, Jayme mustered up all her courage and strength and freed herself. After that, she just ran outside, hoping to find someone who could help her. Jean calls the police for Jayme so that the 13-year-old can tell them exactly what happened. She talks about Mr. Patterson and everything else she can remember. Just minutes later, a police patrol actually spots Jake Patterson's car. Jake had returned in the meantime and realized that Jayme had escaped. Now he was apparently looking for her in his car. Instead, he ran right into the arms of the police. When the officers stopped him, Jake Patterson allowed himself to be arrested without resistance and immediately made a full confession. He explains how he once saw Jayme on Highway 7 on her school bus from his car. When he saw her through the windows of the bus, he knew he had to have her. And to do that, he was willing to use any means necessary. He then drove to the Kloss family home to spy on them a few times and prepared everything. He shaved his hair before the crime in order to leave as little of his hair as possible at the scene of the crime, which could be used to secure his DNA. He also made several changes to his car and removed his license plate shortly before turning into the family street. And on the night of October 15, 2018, he struck. He murdered Denise and James Kloss so that he could kidnap 13-year-old Jayme. Jake had no connection to the Kloss family. He had only seen Jayme once on the school bus and chose her and her family as his target. After shooting her father and then her mother, Jake tied her up with tape and put her in his car. In fact, Jake told investigators that about 20 seconds after he drove off with Jayme tied up, he saw police cars driving towards the house. So Jake's kidnapping of Jayme was only just successful. He took Jayme to Gordon, where he hid her in his cabin. After 88 days of captivity, Jayme Kloss managed to free herself from her captor all by herself. It's hard to imagine how brave Jayme was at that moment. After her rescue, Jayme went to her mother's sister, with whom she grew up from then on. Molly, the little dog that Jayme had previously raised with her parents, also lives with them. Denise and James, Jayme's murdered parents, had also come up with something special for the girl. In missing persons cases, it is common for rewards to be offered for information that leads to the missing person being found or rescued. But Jayme Kloss saved herself. That's why Jenny O is offering a reward of $25,000 for her. Her kidnapper, Jake Patterson, is charged with kidnapping in one case, armed burglary in one case, and voluntary manslaughter in 2 cases. The court later sentences him to life in prison. He had no criminal record at the time, and he had never attracted negative attention anywhere. Even those closest to him didn't notice any warning signs that might have suggested that Jake would ever commit such a crime. During interrogation, Jake says that he was discharged from the U.S. Marines in 2015. He said that he had begun to fantasize about kidnapping a young girl and letting her live with him. And 3 years later, he struck. After 88 days of holding Jayme captive, he apparently felt too safe and grossly underestimated the girl's courage. Today, Jayme still lives with her aunt in Barron, Wisconsin. She is now a young woman. What exactly she does and how she is doing is not known. After her rescue, her aunt commented on the case a few more times and reported that Jayme was doing well considering the circumstances. It sounds as if Jayme has exactly the right environment with her to begin to process her traumatic experiences and to grow up at the same time. The case is really intense, but it's also a reminder of how important it is to never give up hope when a person disappears. What do you think about today's case? Are you as impressed by Jayme's courage as I am? Feel free to write it in the comments. And by the way, you're also supporting the channel because any interaction increases the likelihood that the video will be suggested to people who haven't yet subscribed to Insolito. Thanks already to my advance. Otherwise, there's not much more to say. I wish you a good morning, noon, or evening, or depending on when you see the video, and hope to see you again in the next video. Until then, ciao folks.